Hi, welcome to the Big Frog Podcast. I'm your host, Bonus Creature, and with me today we have the lovely Desiree. Hey, Desiree, how you doing?
Mm.
And our guest today is Assorted Marbles. What's up,
Hello.
Assorted Marbles?
How's it going? Hey guys.
Pretty good. Glad to have you.
Hey.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
So right up front, I just want to say that I'm going to make a concerted effort, Desiree, to let you take more of the lead on this one and have more of an active role. Because we were talking before we started recording that I kind of just steamrolled you the whole time with the last podcast, and that's because of the some technical stuff. I couldn't see you on screen when I was talking because it would full screen me, but now I can. So, but yeah, with that in mind, Assorted Marbles was your pick for this week's podcast. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Well, to be perfectly honest, actually, Dronehands is like a serious sort of marbles fangirl, if you will. And
Fantastic.
so, yeah, that was more his pick. And of course, I was like very supportive of that. I do want to say for the record, we are huge fans of yours, and you have really enhanced some beautiful moments in our lives. And I'm just really grateful that you're here.
that's really cool. Thank you. Sweet.
So how did you guys meet Assorted Marbles?
We actually, well, I did when he raided Dronehands on Twitch one time, and we went to check him out, and we started like falling asleep to his streams. Like, they were very relaxing. Even playing the VODs if he wasn't streaming at the moment. And then with what I was just talking about with enhancing some beautiful moments in our lives, like we have these spots in our yard that we like to go hang out and just kind of relax. And if Marbles is on playing music, then Marbles is on. So, yeah, we've just been kind of getting to become friends over the last few months, and I've really been enjoying getting to know you, for the record. And he gigs a lot in Austin, and I'm going to be visiting the area soon. So I'm like trying to plan my visit to my friends, with you, like make sure that he's gigging when I'm there so I can go check out a gig.
See what we can do there.
Cool, man. So your gigs, are they similar to your streams online, or is it totally separate?
It would be. It'd be kind of cool if it was the same thing. That'd be a lot. A little bit more interesting for. I'm not going to say it that way because that sounds awful. That's not what I mean. But I'd have a lot
Busted.
of fun doing it. I'd have a lot of fun doing it. Most of it, I play with a couple of like, I guess, local kind of country type bands in the area. So it's a little different. It's actually quite a bit different, but it's still fun. It's just a different thing, Just
Right
I
on.
guess
I
as
would
far
agree.
as
It's completely different. Yeah.
yeah, like just with this stuff that I do here, it's nice and calm and relaxing. There, it's all gotta keep going, gotta keep doing stuff. So, but
High
yeah,
energy. Yeah.
I try. But yeah, it's yeah. I
It's a
guess that
different
would be.
thing. So do you want to shout out those bands that you play with?
Well, one of them I'm not really in, so I won't. I mean, I
Oh,
could
okay.
shout them out. I'm sure they wouldn't mind. But I'm playing with a guy named James Hollingsworth out of West Texas. He just put out a single a couple of months ago called "Upon My Brim." That's been kind of, I guess, I didn't realize how quickly people could get on the radio these days, but I guess he's been getting some cool airplay with it. So that's been pretty neat to hear about. But yeah, I've been playing with him
Nice.
for about a year,
Oh, nice.
here and there.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Y- And you said you're not really in the band. Are you sort of just helping out with the
Uh,
guitar?
well,
And
well, the other group, I'm not really. I've been so far got hired for one thing, but
oh,
this
okay.
one
But
I've been playing for probably about a year now. I guess I'm in the band. So to
Oh,
speak.
okay.
I think it's kind of a we're there, we're doing it. I've been getting called back, so that's good. That's a good thing. But yeah,
That is a good thing.
yeah.
So, do you want to share with us maybe like some of your experiences? I remember just a little background for BC here, which I'm pretty sure I've told you this, but also for our viewers. I remember being in one of your streams one day, and you were like watching these old YouTube videos of
Oh,
like past performances, and it was so much fun. What can you tell us about those experiences?
well, uh, like I think the one that you saw was from probably very close to 20 years ago, with a
Oh,
band called Racket Box, and I think that was one of I think we had I was with them for about a year, and that was we did a little, I guess now we call them singles, but I think back then we considered anything under an album an EP, right? But we did like a
yeah.
2 or 3 song recording back then, and I think that was one of the songs from there. I think we called it something weird at the time, but it kind of went to 2 different other bands that I played with some of those guys too, and I think it turned into a song called More Metal. Which was a pretty good title for it considering. But I think the drummer wrote most of the stuff for that, so that was always kind of cool. But
That's different. That's awesome.
yeah, he does a lot of stuff. I haven't seen him in a while, but he played in that band with me, and 2 bands after that with me, and then I think you saw that ska band video too. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah, he was the drummer for that band as well. So it's just and I think maybe I'll have to find some links here to put in there, so if y'all want to watch them, you can. But
Yeah.
yeah. But I've been kind of in this area for better part of 20 years, playing here and there. Not really doing huge things, but enjoying myself nonetheless.
Well,
Nice,
that's
man.
cool. How did you get started playing guitar? Because you're a guitar teacher as well, right?
Yeah, you could say that. I try to be. Way back in like 1997, we're gonna go way back. I was about 13. I was really into video games, or kind of, I guess. I was about as into video games as I could be. But my TV broke, and I didn't have anything to do for a while. So a buddy of mine, who I still talk to fairly regularly, he's an old family friend. I said, "Hey, I see you have that guitar over there. Can I borrow it?" And then I just never gave it back. I just spent the better part of about a year just trying to learn how to do whatever I could. So for about 6 months of it, I was playing upside down and backwards the whole time. But it was a time. It was a good time. And
It's not
eventually
down and
got
backward.
like a
Like intentionally, or I
well,
don't
no, it was just we get the books and magazines, we have the transcriptions, and everything's written a certain way, and I didn't quite grasp it. So when I was looking at it, I was like learning, say, Back in Black, but instead of it sounding all nice and beefy, it was like really high and annoying, and I was like, this isn't how that's supposed to sound. So I was like, why doesn't it sound that way? And then I was like, put it here instead, try it out. And I guess it finally clicked that I was like, I need to go over here. But
Do you mean that you were like reading the tablature backwards,
yeah,
like the strings,
yeah, I was
the wrong
yeah,
strings?
I was reading it all upside down for a long time, and I was like,
Oh, nice.
wow, that's weird. So Back in Black was just like the most annoying, weird sounding thing ever. And like, you
I
got your G
mean,
chord, and that's good. But
Oh, cool, man.
I've never gotten tablature. I used to play guitar more when I was a teenager and young adult, but I just never could get it. And I probably screwed myself over by getting a Frank Zappa guitar book because dang, that is some complicated playing. So,
That's just some weird stuff.
yeah.
It's the nutty stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah, unconventional.
Yeah.
Sweet. So do you primarily play lead?
I do. I don't ever really. This is always a weird thing, and I have conversations with a friend about this all the time because I'm like, I don't know why everyone wants to have me come play leads because I'm very good at playing chords. So that's what I like to do. But a lot of times I'll end up playing leads and stuff like that. Like, cool, I can do this, but it's not like I kind of do the Nirvana thing a lot of times. I guess I kind of like that whole deal. So I'm like, all right, let's play a melody and let's just hit a note and just beat the crap out of it for a little bit and see what it does. And hopefully it translates okay.
Yeah. Could you expand on what you mean by that? Like you're just sort of improvising a little bit with your lead playing?
I try to, I mean, I do a little bit of that, but a lot of times, like say for like what I'm doing now, I'll try to kind of catch that vocal melody a little bit and kind of mess with that rather than just kind of do the whole like all that kind of stuff just because my fingers don't do that anyway. So I'm like, cool, he's doing this, so I'll play that too. And
yeah.
Then maybe
so just sort of like the punk rock, just like use what you brought and make the most of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's kind of
And speaking of Nirvana, BC actually covers a couple Nirvana songs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever caught his guitar playing streams, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
I caught one.
Lots of F-bombs.
I think I caught the one the other day, and he was doing some who was that? Brand New? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was good stuff.
Yeah, so I've been trying to do more covers lately and get better at guitar and stuff. So like a lot of the stuff that I know, it was I mean, I like the material, but it's stuff that I learned a long time ago and maybe am not as interested in. Now Nirvana I've always like really loved. And a lot of that stuff I didn't even attempt because I mean, you know, a lot it's not usually super technical, but now that I've started being able to play some of it, it's more difficult than I would have thought, you know.
Oh yeah.
He had a certain style that, you know, it's its own thing, but yeah, I mean, I like to try to cover some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys play covers?
Yeah, we do a little bit of that. I actually just talked to him earlier today, actually on the way home. But yeah, we do a lot of covers, more of the, I guess, Texas country type stuff. So I think we do a little bit of we do like, I guess, Hank Williams, and I think we were doing some Willie at one point, but we do a lot of like kind of stuff that's within the last 10 years or so, like Whiskey Myers and things like that. We'll cover some of that, but he's trying to get more originals if he can, as we go. I mean, he's got a whole bunch of originals. It's just he was kind of trying to arrange it so that it's, you know, easier to do that stuff.
Have you always been into country music, or is that something that kind of clicked with you later?
Well, how do I answer that? So when I was a kid, I grew up with a lot of that stuff, but in the early 90s through even the last, I guess, early 90s through the last, like, aside from the last 5 years or so, it's been mainly just like punk metal. And then it got softer, quieter. I really got into acoustic stuff. I really like acoustic guitar stuff a lot. So if I'm not doing like the weird stuff, then I'm probably trying to figure out how to play like some finger picking stuff or something like Leo Kottke or John Fahey or something. But the last 5 years has kind of been really just like, I kind of got invited to play with something. With my old bass player, he was playing with somebody. He's like, it was kind of a way at first, honestly. If I'm being honest, they said, "Yeah, we'll pay you." I was like, "Okay," because that never hurts. But of course, you know, you want to. So that's nice, but it's also getting to play with people and doing all that stuff. It's been cool. I've been enjoying it. But yeah,
sweet, man.
That is cool. I remember growing up, I wasn't exposed to a lot of country music. I grew up in Northern Virginia and moved to Texas when I was 16, long time ago, back in 1994. And the country I'd been exposed to was a lot of the kind of young country stuff, which I do not like. Very poppy or whatever. And I'm not sure. I think it was like the alt country thing that got me into like actually exploring country music. It's now my favorite genre. But like, bands like Wilco, like that's what really made me go, oh, okay, this is like extremely beautiful. And my most favorite song in the world is California Stars by Billy Bragg and Wilco, which is on a record called Mermaid Avenue.
Okay.
That was a bunch of previously unrecorded Woody Guthrie songs. And oh man, that changed my whole life. Like, I think I was like 19 years old when I first heard that. And yeah, country is amazing. And I absolutely love your style when you're playing your lap steel. It's absolutely otherworldly.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Yeah, I really like Wilco as well. I
Thanks.
think back in, I guess, when I graduated, I was at the local, I guess, record store / bookstore, whatever we do. We have everything, right? And I picked up a Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, which is just a really weird but really good album. So I really
Beautiful.
like that one. And then
Yep.
I think them and that and like what The Whole Love. That's a good one too. There's a lot of long songs on that one though.
That's cool, man. So I sort of have a complex relationship with country, I guess. Desiree has probably heard me rant about it. I don't know. Like I'm from what's considered the birthplace of country music. People might assume that's Nashville, but it's, I guess, technically Bristol, Tennessee, because some of the Carter family recordings originated here. And there's like a whole country music museum here. And to be honest, I've not even visited it yet, sadly. I need to do that. It's on my list. But yeah, man, I guess just as a kid, because I'm so exposed to it, because it's local to the area, I've always sort of had the tendency to go in the opposite direction of where, everybody else is. So I just sort of steered away from it. And then I guess the other thing is like, a lot of what you might hear on the radio is probably not the kind of country I would like anyways.
Yeah.
But then as I've been doing these open mics and stuff, and like when you're seeing people do it live and they're any kind of music coming from someone's heart and performed well, like I appreciate it regardless of the genre and stuff like that. But it sort of turned me on to some things that I kind of appreciate a lot more than I thought I would. And I mean, there's certainly like country that I like, but just because of like how much of a thing it is, I've just been kind of like, it's not my thing. But the funny thing is, oh yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
So were you that way, or did you just kind of were you exposed to it and enjoyed it initially?
Well,
it's kind of a repeat of Dez's question, but
it was like, I think when I was coming up with that stuff, it was a lot more of the late 80s, early 90s pop country. So you had like Billy Ray Cyrus and all those guys.
Yeah.
Brooks and Dunn, and just like, I guess it's okay. I mean, but
right on. So like my mom was into Randy Travis, so that was in the car all the time. I like Randy Travis.
Randy Travis. Yeah.
Yeah, and some Dwight Yoakam, but she had this single of 1,000 Miles from Nowhere. Yeah.
Yes, that was like 1993 or something like that. Ooh.
Well, I just remember, me and my brother were kids, and mom would be running errands, and she had that single in the car, and that's not the kind of song you want to hear on repeat forever. She'd leave that shit playing and get out of the car, and we're like, "Kill me now!" But
oh my gosh,
it's just anything done too much, unless you just absolutely.
Yoakam was filming a movie in Plano, Texas, which is where I first lived when I moved to Texas. And it was like the summer that we had moved out there. And I actually got to meet him, and I wasn't even into country music at the time, but I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I met Dwight Yoakam.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy. I remember seeing him, and I didn't like, what was it like? What watching him in Sling Blade or something like that when he was doing the
Blade,
acting.
oh my gosh.
That's what I was
Jeez.
going to say. He's
Oh, man.
amazing in that movie. I need to find other movies he's acted in because that was great, dude.
He was in the Crank movies, if that helps.
Frank?
That.
With Jason Statham. It was, I guess,
Yeah, I haven't seen
it was
it.
kind of one of those you're gonna die in like 8 hours, so go mess up a bunch of people. And he plays like the creepy doctor that's best friends with him or something like that. So he's always like, "Hey doc, what's up?" He's like, "Oh, you're dying. This is great. Let's just fix you."
Dear God.
So
Nice.
yeah, they made 2 of those movies, by the way. But
So like
something
when I'm like ambivalent about something and I can't make up my mind, and I change my mind, I'll say, no, I love your mama.
Oh, damn.
That him and
Dark.
Sling Blade was so awesome.
Yeah.
He was pretty great in that. That movie is. I actually watched it pretty recently, sometime in the last couple of years, and I hadn't seen it in forever. And it's mind blowing how really good it is, but also really depressing. Like,
Yeah,
holy
it's a
crap.
dark movie, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think I'm more sensitive to that kind of thing now too, than when I first saw it.
But the scenes where he's getting all irate about their band, that's friggin' great.
Shoot him up. It's like, oh, no.
We don't need to
Like,
fucking practice, Randy.
Man. Oh.
You ever? So I haven't actually played in a lot of bands. I mean, like in high school a little bit, I guess. But do you had any of those experiences where you guys are getting in arguments and shit like that?
Well, let me see. It kind of depends. I mean, as you get older, the arguments are a little different, of course. But like, I like the teenage ones better because it's literally just like, oh, we're gonna practice or not, right? But like, I had my first band. These guys, it was fun. I think we called ourselves the Kamikaze Kids or something like that. Something silly. It was like a 3-piece, or I think we ended up being 4 pieces by the end of it. Like poppy punk band, whatever you want to call it, or what would be it had we sounded good. I mean, our bass player was the singer, but I mean, I say singing very loosely. He was more of a shouter, which is not a problem. But it's like, it's different, like saying something aggressive when you're shouting. He's just like, "I love you," that kind of thing. So it's just like, who are you fighting with, guy? But
That's
the kicker
great.
was he couldn't play and sing at the same time.
It's hard to do.
We'd be playing the song, and when he came to sing, he just stopped playing bass. So like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna cover down. But that's the whole thing. Why when I was like talking about the lead stuff earlier, I was like, I got used to that kind of stuff where it's like, all right, cool, somebody's gonna drop out at some point, so I'm just gonna keep going. But
nice.
So that's kind of where that all started. So I was like, all right, cool, I can be a very solid rhythm player. We're good there. But he would just be like, ready, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, gotta sing. And just
Okay, cool. Oh no, I was just I told this lame story about how when I was in high school, I did the talent show with some friends and I played bass and sang, and it was my first
nice.
time trying to do that. And so like I had to practice that song like a gazillion times. We did Sunshine of Your Love by Cream, which like
nice.
Yeah, I mean like the it's not super complex, and I think it even like, like the lyrics kind of follow the guitar quite a bit, but it was still so hard at the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that one, like the vocal covers the same exact, I think for the most part, the same melody. But yeah, it's still tricky because you got to remember where your hands go and then where you're going.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was just
There's
saying,
a
it's
lot of
funny that he would just
drama.
drop out.
There's
a lot of drama that surrounds the high school band thing, though. Like, what you said, Marbles, made me think of like when I was in this band. I think I was 17. I was really good friends with this guy, and his brother was an amazing guitar player. So we had asked him to be in our band, and he was so jealous and so mad, and it like really affected our friendship. And then like I think that we broke up as friends when the band broke up as well.
Oh
Like,
no.
there's just high school bands. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old were you when you had your first band?
Uh, I think I played my first show on my 16th birthday, so probably a few months before that. So
Hey,
probably
how about you,
I had.
Casey? Oh, I interrupted.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. I
Oh,
had.
well, I basically just hung out at my friend's house at like 16 and we played a little bit. And then we got together and did that talent show thing. And that was about the extent of it, really, apart from like high school band and jazz band and stuff like that, where I played bass and drums and trumpet and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
man. I want to talk. We didn't really cover much about what you're doing on Twitch and how you would describe that and stuff like that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I like to just call it I guess I don't necessarily want to say ambient music, just because I mean maybe it is, I guess, covered by that term, I guess, for the most part. I just call it the spacey music. But I got into that like really like when I first I've been on Twitch I think almost 2 years now. I think here next month I think will be kind of when I started, I guess, the 2 year anniversary of when I kind of did it regularly. But I was doing games and stuff before that. I was like, cool, let me just do something, because a buddy of mine, I think you've seen him in the chat every once in a while, Tiz, but Savage Music Man. He comes in there every so often. He streams a lot too, but he's kind of got me into it. I had got on Twitch for a minute, like back in 2020. I didn't realize what it was and what I was doing. So I was just like streaming from my Xbox and being like, cool, all right, I guess that's it. I didn't talk to anybody, nothing. I didn't know there was chat. I was just like playing the game, like, okay, cool, I can stop now. But he got me back. He got me into it. And he plays in a band called Astriction. He plays bass for them. They're based, I guess, out of the Centex area as well. I think they're from all over the place as far as that goes. But really cool metal band that I didn't know, but a buddy of mine had been talking about them for like 2 years. He's like, have you heard of these guys? I was like, I haven't heard them, but I was going to college with Savage Music Man, and he ended up being their bass player. So that was kind of cool.
Cool.
But he got me back into it. And then probably back in like March or April, I guess, I started doing the music thing a little bit. I was like, I wanted to do it. I thought it'd be fun. And it's relaxing.
March or April of what year?
This year. So I'm still
really?
like really, really new with it. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow. I had no idea. Cool.
Yeah. I think when I met you guys, I was just barely starting doing it. But yeah, I was like, that sounds like a fun idea. I wanted to do something. I was trying to start with like doing some acoustic stuff or whatever. And I was like, I can't really do production. I'm not really producer grade with the stuff. I can press buttons and make things make sound, but that's about as far as that goes most of the time. So I was like, all right, cool, let me try something here. And I just ran it one time through the I guess my processor, this head rush thing here. I was like, that sounds pretty cool. Let me see that. And then so that I can try to make that go live. And it was just nice and relaxing. I was like, this is really cool.
It is.
So I just kept going. I just kept doing it. But I got into
awesome.
Oh, thanks. I got into doing some of this stuff probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I came across, I was actually just trying to learn how to use some of my pedals, because I was building a pedal board for whatever, I guess one of the groups I was playing with. And I was like, cool, I've got all these things that I want to learn how to use. And nice. I think I was trying to figure out something about like an echo pedal, delay pedal. And I was like, how can I use this in a cool way? And I came across this guy, Bill Venzel. He's got a YouTube channel. His project is called Chords of Orion.
Oh, yeah.
And he's older gentleman, kind of
Yeah,
looks
he's
like
great.
Sir Davros from Game of Thrones. He's like, I don't know who that is, but thank you.
Oh, that guy's
But
awesome.
yeah, but yeah, and he had I was watching a few of his videos on how to kind of use things. I was like, well, I don't need to use it like that, but that's pretty cool, so I'll try it out. And I came across one of his videos one day, and he was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna give you guys a challenge. Why don't you do a very basic, ambient EP here? Say, set your constraints, do all that stuff. Say, if you're gonna use a pedal board, use the same things on everything. That way you don't have to sit there and have option paralysis. Give yourself 6 weeks, record it, and put it out however you can. Bandcamp, Spotify, whatever you can do, and then link it here. But he did a couple of those. So I did one of those. I was like, I'll try that. That's fine. So that was like, I think 2018. Then during, I guess, right around pandemic time, I was watching a video, and he did an experiment with putting a plastic bag, taping it to his fan, and letting it like hit the strings on his guitar. So I don't know if you were looking at the stuff on Bandcamp or however you're looking at it, but there's that I guess I don't know what to call it. I forgot what it's called. It's 2 songs, and they were both 2 experiments of me trying to do that. The first one didn't go so well. It was just noise. The second one was a little bit nicer. But basically, It was just like hitting the strings. He got this big old delay and reverb sound, just this big soundscape to play over. And I just had a bag going bang, 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 bang.
No way.
But so I recorded that.
Dude, maybe we should pull that up and listen to a little of it. Is that cool?
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. But
Yeah.
I do want to ask before that,
Sure.
if you're still willing to play us that tune I've been like super in love with, because I know we kind of talked about it.
I think as long as we have a way to, I think all I'd have to do is change the audio, right? I mean, I don't know if
you want to do the bag song first?
Oh, if you want to, yeah. I think it was called the Fan Experiment. I think maybe
let me find it.
Well, just because he said that,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you all how you want to do it. Although if you're nervous, Marbles, we can get the live out of the way. It's up to you.
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah. But there was 2 of them. I think the first one was not so good, so I called it Not a Fan.
Not a fan.
Dude, I don't understand this technique at all. Like, how do you get a bag to hit the strings and do anything?
The first time I did it, like I watched him do it, and he had a big fan sitting next to his guitar, because he does everything like direct into the board. So he's got his pedal board running into that. He's got the amp sims there. So I basically did the same thing, but I didn't quite grasp the concept of how to attach the bag and where to put it. So the first time I taped it to the steel itself. So it's just getting this clink, clink, clink from the high strings. So you just hear this sound. So that's what's on the first one. The second one, I actually taped the bag to the center of the fan, so it just would bounce off the strings a little better. That one worked a little better. It was a little bit nicer. Still not great, but it was kind of fun to try.
Sounds like.
Nice. So I'll edit in the cover and stuff like this, but this is the Fan Experiment. Your Bandcamp is barryjack.bandcamp.com.
Oh yeah,
is that the one you want me to play?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like that's subject to change, but that's what it is right now. Okay, so there's 2 tracks. But the first track is Dan's Levant. And this is the one you said was, in your opinion, unsuccessful?
That was the better one, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one, I had to come up with a better title because it made more sense.
Sweet. Okay, let me, what do I need to do here? I need to unsolo that. I'm going to mute you guys.
Sure.
And I guess probably my mic, and then I'll play this.
Like,
I hate to talk over it, but at the same
Oh,
time,
yeah.
I drop a link and stuff for people. So you say this is like it's a plastic bag. Do you
Yeah.
have one handy to kind of illustrate what you're doing,
Uh,
or you could just maybe pick up a guitar and show with your hand or whatever. I just don't.
well,
Yeah.
let me see. So, like, say we got this guy here. So
Yeah.
basically, I just had it laid on the ground. I had like this laying on like a table, or I guess the steel on a table, and I had the fan next to it. It was like a grocery bag, like just a plastic grocery bag, just kind of banging on the strings. But and just add little things to it, gain all that fun. But then I had another guitar just sitting up, and every once in a while I would just kind of just bop, hit the strings so that it would make another sound.
Do you have it in open tuning?
Yeah, like the lap steel. I had a. Wish I could. It's back there right now, the one I used. But the steel was like in one tuning, and then the other guitar was just like a arch top that I've got over there. And I tuned it kind of funny too, and I would just smack the strings every once in a while to get the other little textures.
Cool.
So it's more of like just a droney thing, but
Yeah.
it's fun to make.
It's amazing.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna do to fade that out here.
Yeah. But it kind of just goes on for a little bit. It was kind of one of those experiments where I was like, I'm not sure where to take this, so I'm just gonna make a 6-minute like swell. But
Sweet.
the other one was a little bit, I guess, there's a little more happening. It was still successful, I guess, in the way that it came out, but it was just like, it was more shrill, I guess, because it was like whacking that top string a lot, just ding, 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 ding. Oh,
Right on.
oh. 1 second.
I really dug that.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Thank you.
And just the technique and stuff is interesting to me too.
Yeah.
Do you want me? Let's hear the other one that you. Now,
you
this
wanna
is
go
one
there?
you weren't that happy with. You say?
Well, I think it was just more or less a, how do I put it? I guess one was a lot smoother than the other. I think that was a big thing. I think it was fine. Like I didn't have I guess a dislike of it. It was just more like
Oh, okay.
just more like it was a little bit more abrasive as far as like the tone that was happening.
Right on. All right, let's see if I can get this going.
But that one kind of does the same kind of thing.
Super dig it.
Yeah, that's killer, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's really cool, man. I need to check out Chords of Orion again. It's been a while since I've watched his stuff.
He's
I used
very interesting guy.
yeah,
Like
I didn't
watching
know he
him
did
to
one of those
be.
challenges. That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are y'all's thoughts on playing the song I've been super loving?
Oh, yeah. I can do
No,
it. Yeah.
can't do it.
Thank you. BC, you suck.
Let me see if I've got this set up. I've already got that going. Cool. So I guess, yeah, I can do that. Let me see.
Dude, thank you. That was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Des, I think you were
Thank
getting
you.
emotional over there.
Yeah, it gets me every time. I'm sorry.
No, that's
It's
okay. That was
really
really cool.
beautiful.
There we are. Hello.
Hey, man, that was really awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you doing that for us. We had a couple of small like tech glitches, but I'll try to edit it.
Oh,
But dude, it was so good.
well, thank you very much.
That was
Um,
amazing. It's beautiful. Thank you.
uh, but yeah, just tell what inspired you to create that.
Well, I think a lot of what I've been doing over the last little bit, and this is kind of along with like things like you heard with that fan experiment thing, was there's not a lot of movement involved in in a lot of this stuff. Like a lot of it, if you look at like the YouTube stuff with people that do like just the big black screen things for the sleeping stuff, it's usually like just a really long chord pad. So there's not a lot of movement because there doesn't have to be for that particular thing. It's literally just something to focus on so that maybe help you fall asleep a little easier. And then you get stuff like watching Chords Over Ryan. He usually has that drone pad underneath just about everything, and then he'll play over the top of it, which is kind of nice. So there's still some sort of movement there, but just coming from more of like, I don't know how to describe it. Like just playing with people. Sometimes it's nice to have that movement there, even if I don't really have other people there. So trying to provide some sort of rhythmic pulse throughout things so I can put something on top of it is nice. So that was kind of like I wanted something with a little more movement because a lot of it, like, I don't know if you've seen some of this stuff, but a lot of it's literally just like really long drone stuff. Like lately I've kind of been doing the streams where I'll just start a drone and I kind of do it what I'll today call the paint by numbers thing. I'll decide on a key, I'll decide on kind of a scale I want to use, and then I'll just kind of randomly add notes throughout the thing after I set like a 3-minute long drone. So, and then I'll just let it go for as long as it goes. But I'll just intermittently add things to it so that it kind of has little fluffs here as the loops degrade.
Sweet. Yeah, and there's a real art in establishing a drone that's pleasant to listen to for long periods. Like you would think that, oh, it's easy, it's just holding a note, like if you ask a metalhead or something. But like there's more to it than that.
And that's my problem because I come from that kind of stuff. So I'm always like, all right, cool. I can just think, okay, good. So like I'm still learning how to really process the idea of I've got all these, I've got a unit that I can press buttons on, turn knobs, and do all that stuff to process things. And then hopefully I can either get that one note to sound super cool, or if I'm playing a couple notes, maybe they'll sound pretty cool. And it's kind of hit or miss, but it works out.
What kind of equipment are you using for that right there?
I've got at my feet a Boss RC30 loop station, so the little 2-track one. That's got some pre-recorded loops and stuff that I can either play over or kind of do their own thing, and then I can add to it as we go. I think I have like up to 100 things on there, I think, so that's kind of cool. So I've got that, but I've got this Headrush MX5, a little floorboard processor. It's probably about a little over a foot long, 1.5 feet. That everything's going into that and then into the looper and then into the interface. So on the interface, pretty much just send the signal, but I'm using PreSonus, and I've got a couple of I've got this big Valhalla supermassive reverb that I like messing with a lot because it's got lots of huge sounding things. So I use that constantly. But I mean, there's a delay in there. I think there's a couple auto filter type things in there, but most of it is just that reverb and then whatever I'm running into on that Headrush into this, like this guy, this little Rogue Lap Steel.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Headrush. What is it again?
Basically, it's just like an amp modeler and multi-effects pedal.
Okay.
I guess is the best way to put it. Kind of like, I guess it's 11's version of the Helix. But they just released the Headrush Prime about a month ago, I think. So There's
Right on.
something new
So
to
you've got
aspire to.
So you've got effects from it in there, and then you're using some
Yeah.
plugins inside of PreSonus on top of that. Yeah, that Supermassive Valhalla plugin, dude, it's great. Yeah, I use it too.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Beer nerds.
It's a
Oh, I have a
huge-
question
I like
for
it
you,
especially
beer
for the
nerds.
very, very wet, long reverb. So it's like, all right, cool. I can make a drone. We're good. That's good.
Right. What was that, Des?
I have a question. I know
think she
that I've
disappeared
talked
on
to
mine.
both
No,
of
she's still
you
there.
and
Oh, I
to.
think Marb's lost you, Desiree.
Uh-oh.
All right, we're recording. So where did we leave off?
Oh, I had a question. So Marbles was just describing his setup to us, and I know I've talked to the two of you specifically and also to Dronehands about everybody is trying to resist that urge to buy more equipment. And I'm really curious, like, as somebody who's not so much a musician myself, I play some music or whatever, but not really. What what drives you to want to and not want to? It's a kind of a curious thing for somebody like me that's like an outsider.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, I think it was like
I
four
guess-
in one.
I guess I'm happy that I'm not a car guy, because that'd be really bad.
Damn.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Yeah. But like for me anyway, I've had to be very disciplined over this, especially the last like year, because I don't have a lot of room. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to ever use. So it comes into a thing of I have to really think, am I going to use that? Do I need it? I was actually bringing back to Bill Venzel and Chords of Orion for a second. He just released a video like last weekend, I think, where he talked about just this exact thing, where he's like, these are some pieces of gear I regret buying. They're great pieces of gear, but I just don't use them. I don't need them. I have a whole thing that I'll do, kind of what he mentioned in the video is I'll get the thing. I was looking at the Strymon El Capistan, which is a really nice tape echo pedal. I wanted one for so long. I finally got a hold of one. I played with it for about 2 hours, and I was like, that's cool. Put it in the box, and it sat in a closet for like 6 months. I was like,
yeah,
I guess I'm not using that. So I had to sell it. I sold it to a friend of mine. I was like, here you go, take it. It's good.
Damn.
It's certainly a loaded question. I mean, because there's all kinds of reasons. Like for me personally, I don't know. Like there's the financial thing. I'm kind of a frugal person, so that of course is going to enter into it. Yeah. And then like, there's always like stuff that you own that you've not fully utilized, and then like learning new gear takes away from making music. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like figuring out how to incorporate it into your rig and learn the new thing and then reroute everything. And then it changes the character potentially of everything you've done before, depending on what it is. And
on that note, I was trying to, I think I mentioned this to you the other night, Des, when I was like, I was going to stream tonight, but this whole thing didn't work out. I was trying to take my old live rig that I have, which is pedalboard based, and I was trying to run that into the system and stuff like that. And I was like, it has a better volume, but that's all it did. I was like, none of the things were doing exactly what I wanted to do. So I was like, I guess this isn't going to work. So I had to tear everything back down. So the whole figuring out how to incorporate it into it is very, very important, because if you can't use it, then
it's interesting to me, to see, and to hear your perspective, but then to see like, people like Aaron Goldberg, who was our first guest on this podcast not that long ago. He's constantly buying new toys, and I just don't even understand. I saw him do a stream today where he was doing like an interview thing, and then they were doing like a patch challenge or something. And man, that was fun.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And to see Aaron, my God, BC, when he was on our show, we could see some of his setup, but to see it from a different perspective, and you can see it on his streams too, but like all the patch cables like in the world exist. And I just don't know how he does it, but I guess, he well, I mean, he's a lot younger than all of us. And also, he's got the space for it. And, you mentioned that Marbles not having the space. And I think, with Drone, it's the same thing. Like he has a bigger, like he keeps upgrading his studio, but still running out of space. And it's just a tough thing to work around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a definite like double-edged sword, or there's two sides of the coin, or whatever expression you want to use. But like, like you can find inspiration in new gear and new sounds that it creates and stuff like that. So, and if you're like technically inclined, like, I'm sure Aaron is. And speaking of Aaron, before I forget, I just want to apologize to him for not featuring his music more during the stream. We're still kind of during the first podcast, because we're still trying to figure all that out and everything. Maybe next time we talk to him, we'll do that. But yeah, shout out again to Aaron Goldberg. But yeah, like he's a very technically oriented person, so I think like for him, he can probably incorporate that stuff really quickly, and he's probably got his rig set up. I mean, with modular, I don't want to oversimplify it, but I think you get a new module, and if you've got the space for it, you pop it in and start making connections and go. So I guess it's part of that. But
sure.
Yeah,
it's a hard thing for me to understand.
I think we were talking about that last night for a second too. Just like all the
yeah.
chords going everywhere. I'm like, I don't know what anything does. Yeah.
Music is complicated and simple and beautiful, and I'm just grateful for it. Yeah. And I also want to say, for the record, I'm grateful for the both of you, because y'all have given me some just amazing experiences. And sorry I was like sitting there crying when you were playing Marbles, but I mean, I do that often when you're streaming too. Like, it just is what it is,
I'm glad it's a positive thing. I think
it is. It is. I promise.
Just like, I'm bored. No.
Come on, man.
No,
I would never accuse you of that.
No, I'm kidding. Like, no.
Awesome.
But
so one thing that we didn't get to is like, we've been calling you Assorted Marbles because that's your username on Twitch. And I asked you when we were trying to fix our technical issues if we could share your real name, and I didn't even know what it was because I'm an idiot. But like, it turns out it's kind of got an interesting slant. You're gonna just have to let me be self-deprecating, because that's what I do.
Fair, whatever.
No, but like, your name is Michael Jackson, so when I heard that, it made me think of the Office Space thing. I'm sure, like, how much did you sympathize with that?
Oh man,
like the singer?
Like, oh man, that was my favorite part of that whole movie. Whenever they did that, just because of that reason, it's like, man, one day I'm gonna sit in an office and somebody's like, "Really?" I'm like,
yeah, we were talking about your former profile picture on social media, that it was the man in the mirror thing. Do you want to like share that story with us again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Well, I was with a buddy. A buddy of mine wanted to take a trip, and they're like, "You should come with me," just because I don't go anywhere most of the time. So I'm like, "Sure, why not?" So I went. We went to Washington, D.C., spent about 4 days there. Went and saw a bunch of stuff. But we ended up at Madame Tussauds. I think that's how you say that wax museum. And just walking around, we come across the wax statue of my namesake. And I was like, this is going to be totally obvious, but still pretty funny. So I said, here, take a picture of this, because so it's just me standing next to myself, just like, I'm not looking at him, just like, can't look at him. It's like twins the whole time. But
so you were like posing next to the wax figure of Michael Jackson in the same pose?
Well, I wouldn't say the exact same pose, but I was kind of just next to him, just like he's looking one way, I'm like, all right, the other way.
Oh, it's pretty great, BC. We should send it to you so you can edit it in, because I think the audience will want to see it. if that's
that's killer.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, both of those two names are pretty common, so I'm sure there's a lot of Michael Jacksons.
Oh, no.
But
Yeah, that's the funny part. That is actually the really funny part. I was like, there's like 6 famous Michael Jacksons. It's just he was the most famous because there's a football player for the. I don't know if he's still a football player, but he was a guy in the Atlanta Falcons, I think, or something like that. There was a football player that was pretty popular, I guess.
okay.
I think there's probably an actor somewhere, but it's always funny, and sometimes people make a really big deal out of it, and I'm still not quite sure why. And then I'm like, and some people are like, yeah, cool. We get funny names all the time. I'm like, I like you.
But
It doesn't get much more famous than Michael Jackson, though.
Yeah, that is true.
Really.
That is true.
Out of the as a percentage of the people that you meet, what percentage would you say makes some kind of comment about your name?
I think it depends on the circles, because there's certain people when I hang out with them, when they introduce me, they have to make a big deal out of it to make it seem like it's a big deal. So like, you'll never guess what his name is. You should show them your driver's license. I'm like, they don't need to know our name.
Show them your driver? Like, they're not going to believe you.
They're doxing you. What the hell?
You're going to have to show the documentation.
I'll go to my buddy's barbecue sometimes. There's always somebody new, and he's like, you should tell them your name. I'm like, you're going to tell them anyway.
You're going to have to sit down and have a talk with those people. Like, listen, I don't do this bullshit to you.
I say that too. I'm like, you guys, you can just call me Mike. It's fine. It's all right. You don't have to call me, because everyone
yeah.
They'll be
when I was growing up, I was named after a Neil Diamond song. My mom was like broken down on the side of the road, and a song called Desarae came on, and she had my name picked out as Brooke. And I was so mad at her my whole life. Like, I wish my name was Brooke. Now I really like my name. But anyway, but man, people kept singing that stupid song to me like my whole life, and I hated it. I was so just like over it. And anyway, she got me the cassette for my 18th birthday, like a Neil Diamond's Greatest Hits that had it on there. And so I finally got to hear the actual song. Like, that's not too bad. I mean, Neil Diamond is Neil Diamond. It is what it is. But man, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to keep hearing this song. You're not original, man.
You got to put a lot of thought into something like that when you name your child. Like, what's this going to do to them? I was talking to somebody about the book Freakonomics. I read it years and years ago. And I know since it came out, there's been a lot of stuff that's been like debunked and shit like that. But there's a story in there. I don't remember a lot of the details, but there's a story in there about a parent that had twins, and they named one of them Winner and one of them Loser.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
I might, or at least something equivalent to that. And the funny thing is like, Winner did horrible in life. And Loser, I guess, did a lot better, because I guess it was like, I'll show them who's a fucking loser. I don't know what it is.
Loser had something to prove.
I guess so. I don't remember the details, but roughly that's the story.
That's fun.
That's awful, though. Why would you do that? Like, I put a lot of thought into naming my son. Like, is the shortened version, like, is that cool? It's like, his name is Jacob. Jake. Yeah, Jake is fine. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, the thing is, no matter what it is, like, kids are going to be kids, and it's going to be terrible. Well, but you could make it worse. Just don't make it worse.
Yeah.
Was it bad for you, Marbles, when you were growing up?
Well, I'll say, because it was about the time that all the weird stuff was happening in the early 90s.
Oh, dear God.
Around that time, that got weird for a while. But, you know how kids can be. Oh, no, it's fine. It is what it is. But it was just, at the time, that sucked. But, that was 10-year-olds being 10-year-olds,
Yeah.
So it's just but high school, junior high. I mean, high school especially was nothing. Nobody cared, because we all knew each other. We all grew up here. So by that point, there was nobody new to be like, "Oh, that's your name? Haha, I got you." But so it's like, So it calmed down. Then you meet people. Like, I've been playing with, like I said, my friend. It's always like we played played in a couple bands together over the last couple of years, or probably since about 2014. We played in the ska band together, and we played in a country band together. Great dude. But every time he sees me,
Chuck.
and hey, Chuck, what's up, cat?
But every time he sees you,
Oh, he doesn't like the light.
He's
Poor
like,
Chuck.
But every time he introduces me to anybody, he's like, he'll never guess. And it's like,
he's the guy
my
that
name's
does that.
Mike.
Well, if he sees this, he'll feel bad. You should feel bad. I'm just kidding.
Should feel bad.
That's cool.
No,
It's
it's all
funny
good.
though, shit like that when you're a kid. If you just go back in time and tell yourself, like, dude, it doesn't matter. Just relax.
Yeah, it don't
you know.
Right. When I was a kid, it was
Just laugh and go
Desarae
on.
lives in the desert and always eats dessert. And I was like, neither of those things are true. I don't understand. And
That
then it was
doesn't
also
sound bad.
Desi the Leslie. I didn't know what Leslie meant. I asked my mom. I was like a little kid.
Dessert in the desert sounds great, though. I don't know.
One of my best friends.
Well, no, I don't want the desert.
I don't live in the desert. Leave me alone.
I don't want to live in the desert.
Me and a friend knew this guy named Jake, and we had this whole ridiculous rhyme. It was like, Jake the Flake, who lived in the lake, who baked a cake to save his sake. I don't know why I remember that, but
I'll have to share that with my son.
What's that?
I'll have to share that with my son.
Oh, that's
he
right.
always liked the different nicknames or whatever that he got that rhymed with Jake. I don't know. He used to make them up himself.
Well, I always had a joke for people. Well, I guess not for people, but for me, I thought it was funny anyway. But like, never trust a man with a dog's name. So, if I meet a person named Max or Jake, I'm always like watching you.
Damn. My
It's
dog
always
was
a
named
joke.
Eddie.
It's always a joke. What was it?
That guy's Spot.
My first dog.
Can't trust him.
His
Eddie
name's
is
Spot?
like Eddie is like a person's name though. I love people named for pets.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So he was named after Eddie Spaghetti of the Super Suckers. So do we not trust my dog or do we not trust Super Suckers?
You just can't trust anybody anymore.
Damn. On that note, we have been going a long time. Maybe we should wind it down.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for hanging out with us, dude. This was fun.
Yeah.
I appreciate you playing for us and stuff too.
Oh, thanks for having me.
thanks
And
for making me cry, Marbles. But for real though, that was amazing and beautiful.
Yeah, and I didn't know if there was any other music you wanted to share. We could have gotten to that if we had more time, I guess. But what we did listen to was really rad.
Great.
Well,
so again, thanks.
Oh yeah, thank you.
But if you want to mention some of it, if you'd want people to check out.
Well, I mean, I have a really bad habit of starting these things and then taking forever to put things out. So, like, I don't have a lot of material out on like the platforms. But if you want to check out the Bandcamp, or I think Spotify is out there somewhere. I should probably provide a link to some of these things. I'm never prepared.
Yeah, just send us those links and we'll put them on screen.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I have a link tree now. That's right.
Oh, you made a link tree. Yep, we got that.
I forgot that. But yeah, there's there. But it'll have. I think the Spotify will have a little bit more. I think.
Okay.
But,
what's the name of the Spotify?
It'll be just Barry Jack.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll
Barry
be the
Jack.
name of it. But
yeah, we'll drop all those links
in the link tree. But yeah, I need to eventually just rename everything because that's probably going to get confusing with Barry Jack, Assorted Marbles, and Mike Jackson.
Well, they'll know to go to go to the link tree, and then I guess like if they go to your Twitch thing and follow you, you probably have links on it too, right? So, and if you change them, you can update that stuff. Yeah. That's what's cool about talking to people as they're just starting to put stuff out there, is you get to watch them grow as an artist and see stuff come out. So this is cool.
It's pretty rad.
Well, thank you. This has been fun.
Really enjoyed it, Marbs. It's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Thank you for indulging us, and especially for playing for us live. That was really cool. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, cool, man. It's nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
I guess we'll wrap it up. This was episode 3 of the Big Frog podcast with Bonus Creature and Desarae. Our guest was Michael Jackson. Assorted Marbles on Twitch. Barry Jack on Bandcamp. Appreciate it again, Mike. Take care, buddy.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day, all right?
All right, you too. Thanks, Desiree.
Bye.